My name's Taylor Kaufman, and I was a table host of the King's Banquet. So I was put up in the top balcony where you could barely see the stage or anything, and it was 4 tables in the back, and the other 3 tables ended up being empty because their table host didn't show up and there wasn't enough people to fill them. So it was me back there by myself, and I had 3 gentlemen come. One left really early. I never even knew his name. The other one was named Mike. He was a very big man, very large man, very loud man. And I ended up giving him my food throughout the evening so that he would not talk, so I could talk with the other man, Jorge. Jorge was deaf, and so it was hard for me to communicate with him because I don't know sign language. But I found out early on that he could read lips, so I just pronunciated my words clearly and spoke so he could read. And then I also grabbed a pen from one of the waitresses and used napkins to write and shared the gospel with him. And I've never realized how hard it is to share the gospel while writing on a napkin before that night. It's not easy. Jorge, he was about 30-ish. He has a crazy testimony. He wouldn't exactly share specifics, but I picked up on things when I was speaking about the mercy and forgiveness of God, and he would give me questions, and the questions hinted at some of the things he had done, like kidnapping women. And I don't know the fullness of that because he wouldn't go into it, and I didn't really push him on that. But he has a lot of scars in his life, and a lot of stuff that most of us would be shocked to hear. I started talking about sin and forgiveness and the mercy of God, and we would use tools to speak because he's deaf, and we would always use something white and something black and say the black turns to white with God. And he just absolutely refused to believe that God would forgive him for his sins. And at one point, I just wrote out really big on the napkin that he has already forgiven you regardless if you want him to or not. And something clicked inside of him because his eyes changed at that moment. And you could tell that something had registered inside of him. But then he just kind of withdrew and wouldn't say anything. And so I just started asking him more questions about just the evening and if he was liking his food and stuff. And he finally, he asked me, how could God love someone who's done evil? In which he brought up stuff like kidnapping girls and drugs and sex and all this stuff. And I said that because he does love us, and he has loved you before the world began, and he loved you before you did those things, and his love is so great and his mercy is so great that he chose to die for you, and he still loves you while you commit those things because he's still longing for you. And then if you just turn around, he's right behind you waiting to love you. I was just trying to express to this man how much God loves him. And I said, you can choose his love right now. You can make this choice to leave this life and follow God because he loves you that much. He loves you more than any other man can know. And in big letters in red ink, he wrote, I choose sin. And then he got up, grabbed his coat and his friend, and they left. And so I watched as this man who has done some terrible things, but is obviously looking for love, but he just refused it. I watched him refuse it, even though he was homeless, even though his life was not the best and he had nothing else to look forward to. He still chose not to love God, even though I could tell when I spoke about those things, he knew it in his heart, and he knew those things were true, and I was not lying to him. He still refused to accept Jesus. He chose to walk away.